Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, good whatever time it is, wherever you are, whoever you might happen to be, and welcome once again to Nerd Week Live, the show in which we talk about all sorts of nerd news that happened over the past last week. The past last week? That's a little bit redundant, might even be repetitive. And discuss it with you folks and people in the chat. I'm Rodney Brown. I'm the editor-in-chief of Nerd Caliber, first-person shooter as a cosplay photographer on Facebook and on our website, nerdcaliber.com. Please check out some of the galleries that we've actually shot now that cons are coming back. Most recently, Fan Expo Boston, and prior to that, actually MegaCon Orlando. So, and Kineticon will be coming up shortly. Galleries. The con happened this last weekend. Also, Burley _ Adopter on Twitch, on Twitter. Actually, I think I'm also that on Twitch. I'm not sure. And a couple of other places, mostly as a tech journalist. We've got a lot of topics tonight, folks. So much news dropped over this past week. It's going to be busy. I'm kind of bummed that I'm the only one. There were some technical issues with some of the people who were literally right on the edge of joining us, but that's the way it goes. Technology, am I right? So we're going to jump right into it, but before we do that, one of the things I want to mention is that this show would probably be twice as long if we covered all of the reveals that came out of the Sony PlayStation showcase this past week. If you want to get the skinny on all of that stuff, go to our website. The latest Games Bite column, a Game Bites column by Christina, has all of the details that you need to know about what they showed and descriptions of what the games are like and so on. So check that out. Literally, there was so much stuff they showed there, it would double the length of this show. Luminous, welcome to the show. Welcome back to the show, I should say. But yeah, so I'm going to jump right into it because, like I said, there's a lot of stuff that happened. The first one, there's an awful lot of people in our team who's very excited about this, but this is really up, the old man wheelhouse here. Netflix has given an order. It's not like this is something they're planning. This is a done deal for an 8-episode series adaptation of Matt Wagner's Eisner-nominated comic book series, Grendel. That image that you're looking at right now is the cover of the 1993 collected edition called Red, White, and Black, in which basically they redid all of the coloring in literally just red, white, and black. The story of Grendel, I'll do this real quickly because this could go on forever. Grendel's been running since 1982 and is still going. It's not a regular monthly ongoing, comic book series. It, has its, 8-episode runs and 12-episode runs and then comes back every few years. But it's still going. The story that they're adapting is the very first story of somebody who wears the name Grendel. And that's a kind of an important thing to point out. The character is Hunter Rose. Hunter Rose is he's a master fencer. He is a published author, successful writer. He is an assassin. And in a very Punisher-like twist, he decides to go after a criminal underworld because to get revenge over a lost loved one. The story is that he basically decides that his best revenge isn't killing them, it's actually taking over the criminal underworld. And the story is about how he makes that decision, how that happens, how he goes about doing it, and the inevitable consequences of that action. It's kind of Breaking Bad-esque if Walter White was a master fencer who dressed sort of like a demon ninja and killed people with a Japanese yari, a spear. And yeah, that's Grendel. It's amazing. There's a reason why it was nominated for an Eisner Award. Matt Wagner wrote and drew it. Um, it has a fantastic, beautiful artistic aesthetic to it. Um, who knows whether that's going to translate? But Netflix has named the cast too. Abu Bakr Ali, who was in Power Book 2 Ghost and the series Katie Keene, is going to be playing Hunter Rose. And it is definitely that arc because you've got the native actor Julian Black Antelope is going to play the native character Argent. You've got the wonderful indie actor Kevin Corrigan is going to be playing mob boss Barry Palumbo. Young actress Emma Ho, who was in The Expanse and will be in Strange New Worlds, Star Trek Strange New Worlds coming up, is going to be playing Kevin Corrigan's daughter, Stacy Palumbo, and many other cast members they've already announced who will be playing these important characters from that first arc. And they can wrap that arc up in 8 episodes. So I'm really looking forward to what they do with this. Since it is just announced, there is no specific information about when this is going to happen. Plus, it's Netflix. Again, unless it's a huge tentpole kind of thing, they don't necessarily tell you when it's going to happen. But it is the first thing in, apparently, I don't know if we reported on this or not, but Netflix signed a first look deal with Matt Wagner. So maybe his other big series, actually that predates Grendel, Mage, might be made into a series as well. We'll have to see. They may continue the Grendel story with the different people who assume the title Grendel going forward for years, because there's plenty of stuff to mine. And as the story moves along, it gets weird. Wonderful, but it stops being a story about assassins and mob bosses and starts being a really deeply social and political story. Anyway, so that's our first one. Grendel, whenever it happens, sign me up. I bought, I think, the collection of the Hunter Rose story that came out a few years before the 1993 Black, White, and Red collection, which is what that cover image is from. But I adored it. It was absolutely fantastic. Certainly deserved the Eisner nomination. Our second piece of news, that is an image from the 1981 classic bit of animation by Don Bluth, 1982, The Secrets of NIMH. And the news is that Fox is going to be making an animated series based on the books, The Rats of NIMH, written by Robert C. O'Brien, that The Secrets of NIMH was based on as well. So this is a series. It's an animated series coming to Fox that isn't a sequel to the Don Bluth movie. It is a new adaptation of the novels that the Bluth movie was based on as well. I grabbed the image from the Don Bluth movie because that's what anybody's going to recognize with when you hear NIMH or the Rats of NIMH. So it's going to be MGM's Orion Television working with Fox Entertainment to make this animated series. And that's pretty much the only information we've got about it. The rest of this article on Deadline goes into an interview with the head of animation from Fox, and he has a lot of interesting things to say, but it's not really about this. So again, no idea when this is going to happen. It is announced that it is in the works, so it could still fall off the wayside. That happens, but Fox. One thing this Michael Thorne, actually is the president of Fox Entertainment, says in this interview is that animation is really, really important to Fox, even more so than it already is going forward. So, probably it's not going to fall by the wayside. Be interesting to see how they take this. Another series that's coming up that was just announced, and this is not animation, it's live action, is a series with that guy on the left, the amazing David Tennant, of course, here in Good Omens as Crowley. But the series announcement is that he and his wife, Georgia, will be executive producing a new series coming to Peacock called Hyde. And it's basically a modern, updated sort of retelling of the Jekyll and Hyde story. Tennant will be starring, and he will be playing a disgraced journalist who stumbles across this conspiracy story that he believes could resurrect his career. It turns out it's a lot deeper and more dangerous than he thought. An accident happens around him, and, well, it's a Jekyll and Hyde story. I like this idea. First off, David Tennant, anything. Please, yes, more David Tennant, always more David Tennant. And I like the concept. I like the modern updates of stories like this. If they're done right, I liked Elementary as a modern update of Sherlock Holmes more than BBC's Sherlock. But both of them had their good points, and they were interesting as a modern retelling. So I'm looking forward to this. Working with him, directing and also executive producing, is going to be Julie Ann Robinson, who has been nominated for apparently like about everything you can for a director for streaming or television work. Emmy, BAFTA, Directors Guild of America. The Emmy nomination is still pending because it is for Bridgerton. So, yeah, this is going to be directed by somebody who's directed an awful lot of episodes of Bridgerton. Castle Rock, Masters of Sex, Brooklyn Nine-Nine. So, yeah, I think this could be really, really good. It's got the right people behind it. Let's put it that way, at least. Speaking of live action series coming up, this just kind of blows my mind. That is, of course, the amazing Locomania 22 cosplaying as She-Ra from the recent animated series She-Ra and the Princesses of Power, which ran on Netflix. The news is that the same studio, DreamWorks Animation, that made She-Ra and the Princesses of Power, is working on a She-Ra live action series for Amazon. But it's still DreamWorks Animation that's executive producing this live action series. More She-Ra, sure, please. Let's get all of that stuff updated and looking good. How much it's going to be influenced by the Netflix animated series is hard to say. It's being produced by the same people, DreamWorks Animation. So logic would say it's probably going to be a follow-on or perhaps a retelling or something. But it could also be more of a live-action adaptation of the original animated series. So, who knows? Let's just hope it isn't like Wednesday, the upcoming Wednesday Addams series, which is, an update where, she's a student at a boarding school. So, yeah. Again, this is, Deadline confirmed this. It was apparently originally reported in Variety, and Deadline has confirmed it. No idea when this is going to happen, because they just announced it, but it is in the works. So look forward to that. I'm looking forward to seeing more about, how they're going to play this. And I mean, they can screw it up, but I'm comfortable with a bunch of different ways they could go with this. Let's put it that way. Speaking of series, Luminous. Stephen Moffat had a Jekyll series in 2007, but I found it very disappointing. I'm always glad to see Tennant in a new series. I don't remember the Jekyll series. Was it only on BBC or BBC America? Did it wind up getting shown anywhere here in the U.S.? I'm not sure in 2007 whether anybody carried BBC America. Yeah, let me know where you saw that, because it doesn't ring any bells to me. So the next bit of news here is, and I'm really excited that this is announced, although there's a question still hanging on this. That is, of course, Bob's Burgers, the wonderfully funny animated series. And the news is that the long pending, long rumored, nobody really knew when it was going to happen, Bob's Burgers animated movie just suddenly got announced with a poster and a date. It's coming out Memorial Day weekend, May 27th, 2022. So in 9 months or so. And I think this could be really hilarious. I'm looking forward to this. It was part of a bunch of announcements that got put out by Disney recently. And a lot of them are like Untitled Pixar, Untitled Marvel, a lot of Untitled Marvel. In just 2024, there are 4 Untitled Marvel dates that they've already set. But this is one that is titled, and we finally got confirmation that it is, in fact, actually happening. A Bob's Burgers movie. Looking forward to it. Now, I am not the Bob's Burgers super fan that a couple of our other team members are, particularly Greg. But every time I've watched it, it's really funny stuff. So, yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to this. Memorial Day weekend. Hopefully, by then, it'll be a comfortable time going out to theaters. And we'll get into that in an upcoming segment. Luminous. Jekyll was a British series that only had 6 episodes. I think I watched it on disc. Okay. Maybe I'll look up, see whether or not there's any way to stream that, because it's only 6 episodes. But if you said it was kind of disappointing, why would I subject myself to bad Stephen Moffat? So maybe not. Moving on. This is, of course, the wonderful Haley Atwell from one of the early episodes of the Agent Carter series. It might have been episode 1 or 2, where she goes undercover at an event. The news about Haley Atwell is that she is going to be voicing Lara Croft in, we're back to Netflix stuff here, a Netflix Tomb Raider anime series. So this is going to be based on the Square Enix games, the recent games, but it also takes place 25 years after the first game. So Lara Croft is more like she is in the original games. Lady Lara Croft, a more mature treasure hunter, and Tomb Raider. Yeah, so I think this is fantastic. Yes, for anything Haley Atwell does. Her voice acting work as Captain Carter in the very first What If episode was fantastic. So I'm sure she's going to just knock this out of the park. Again, Netflix, who knows when, but it is going to happen. And it is an anime series. It doesn't say here that I can see. Okay, so it was apparently announced back in January. We may have covered it. I don't remember doing so. So let's see if it says here in that. Yeah, we did cover it because I remember reading this article. I'm trying to see whether or not it says who is going to be doing the actual animation. It doesn't. Odds are it's going to be Netflix's favorite go-to company that did Castlevania and The Witcher, Nightmare of the Wolf, and so on. Luminous. H. John Benjamin on the big screen. This might be his first lead in the theatrical movie. Oh. Probably that's true. Good point. And yes, H. John Benjamin, one of the funniest voice actors out there. Sterling Archer, just fantastic. And the Archer episode where he envisions himself as Bob from Bob's Burgers is hilarious. So getting back to Tomb Raider anime and Haley Atwell, again, no idea when this is going to happen on Netflix, but it is going to happen because they have announced it, and now they've already announced the casting of the lead, so it's pretty much a done deal. So now we get into some of the not greatest news out there. That is, of course, from the Eternals, from one of the trailers for the Eternals. The news is that Disney just announced on Friday that all of its films in the remainder of 2021 will have a theatrical exclusive release period, contradicting what it has said before, including with the Eternals, where it was supposed to have a same-day release on Disney Plus and in theaters. With, you could pay a boatload of money, the $30 thing, to see it. But in this case, they have said now that all of their movies, Marvel or otherwise, that are scheduled for release this, through the remainder of this year, will have at least a 30-day, some a 45-day exclusivity in theaters. Eternals is one with the 45-day, which sucks. Like Shang-Chi has a 45-day exclusivity in theaters. And again, they're doing this clearly because Shang-Chi was just a monster hit. Relatively speaking, I mean, the money it made in the theaters so far has not qualified it to stand up in the Avengers Endgame level, so on. But relatively speaking, it is still the biggest weekend box office moneymaker for Labor Day weekend ever. Pandemic aside, anytime any movie has ever been released on Labor Day weekend, Shang-Chi is the biggest one so far. So clearly the idea of releasing directly to a theater and waiting for a streaming release, it worked for that movie, and Disney thinks it's going to work for everything coming up. The Last Duel, which is October 15th, the animated Ron's Gone Wrong trailer, which just dropped, and I didn't put it on here for some reason. October 22nd, Eternals, November 5th, West Side Story, December 10th, and another one that I'm crying over, The King's Man, December 22nd, all getting this exclusivity in theaters. I know plenty of people are fine with going to theaters. I'm not comfortable yet, so this bothers me. I get it. I understand why they're doing it. I wish they didn't. Purely for selfish reasons on my part. That's a bummer for me, but hey, it's the way life is. Hopefully more people are getting, vaccinated. Hopefully we can, get this Delta variant and then the Mu variant and every other variant down and feel safer. Whether that will happen by November 5th, which is when the Eternals comes out, I don't know. But anyway, the next bit of movie news is that on the very same day, last Friday, Warner Brothers announced that it is going to be pushing forward some of its movies that will be going to theaters, probably because they want to make as much buck as they can and have just a theatrical release. And the biggest one in here is the spin-off of Mad Max Fury Road, Furiosa, which, as we know, is not starring Charlize Theron. It's Anya Taylor-Joy. But I use this because it's about Furiosa. And there are no pictures of Anya Taylor-Joy as Furiosa yet. Instead of opening on June 23rd, 2023, they are kicking it almost an entire year forward to May 24th, 2024. Give them all the time to make the best movie they can. Fury Road was absolutely brilliant. But I'm kind of sad. I'd rather see it sooner than later. Hopefully we won't have they're already up to Mu, Zeta variant of COVID by then, or who knows what. or a new one, COVID 23. And everybody will be back to theaters and everything will be hunky dory. Or somebody will build a freaking drive-in here on the North Shore of Massachusetts where I can go see it. Business opportunity, somebody. Get on that. New Line is doing a new version of Salem's Lot. We've talked about this. That is moving to September 9th of 2022. And I think that's really the only ones that they're talking about in here. But so yeah, between Disney and Warner Brothers, a lot of big movie release news this last week. Now here's our sort of final. This is bad news, or what do you call yucky stories. And the news is that Twitch is actually suing a couple of its own users for their hate raids. Try to do this quickly. If you don't know what a raid is or what a hate raid is, a raid is something that is allowed and encouraged on Twitch, which one Twitch user or streamer with a bunch of their followers while they're live will actually go onto another streamer's stream and load it up with comments and push up their viewing numbers and so on, and it's a good thing. I know a number of streamers who have benefited from raids from people who have way higher follower counts than they did at the time. And a lot of Twitch streamers like doing it because it's a wonderful thing you can do for a up-and-coming streamer that you respect. Then there are the hate raiders. There are people out there who will gather their followers, or in some cases, in these two that are being sued, essentially just bots. They're not real people. And jump onto a particular streamer's live stream. Usually someone from a marginalized community, a person of color, somebody that identifies in LGBTQA+, someone like that, and then load the comments with bigoted, racist, vile, really vile comments. Twitch is suing two of the worst offenders here. A user who goes by the name Cruz Control, and another one that goes by a whole bunch of names with creatine in it, but primarily creatine overdose. Cruz Control is apparently from the Netherlands, and creatine overdose is apparently from Vienna in Austria. And I say apparently because they don't actually know. And that's very interesting that Twitch's claims of allowing anonymous users and even streamers is apparently as valid as they say. And that's one of the potential problems with the suit, is they don't know who they are suing. They are suing these users. They don't know who they actually are. And I see that as being a problem in the courts. But we'll see how this plays out. It might be simply that this is an exercise in which the information about these people will have to come out in court findings and so on. Or maybe it's Twitch just making it look like they're doing something important. I don't think so. I think they're legitimately trying to figure out a way to stop this, but I don't see an awful lot happening from this lawsuit. Fingers crossed I'm wrong. Anybody who does that kind of stuff, you don't deserve to have access to the internet or a computer. Just saying. And I'm not saying you have to have your fingers chopped off, because there's still voice controls that would work. Tongue, but anyway. Not a big fan of the hate raiders. Now, it's time to start the last wave of this show. And I mean wave, because there were so many trailers and teasers that were released this last week. It was just nuts. And we're going to start off with the trailer for Addams Family 2. Um, I really like this. It looks really funny. I did not watch the first of this animated series. Pardon me. It's cool enough in the evenings that I'm going back to coffee. Um, and I regret that. I think I'm going to have to try to find a way to watch this, the first one, because you know, Charlize Theron, Oscar Isaac, the voice cast. I always screw up her name because it's multi. Chloe Grace Moretz, Nick Kroll, Bette Midler, Snoop Dogg as it. Bill Hader, Wallace Shawn, just a fantastic voice cast. This looks really funny. It is apparently going to be tied into a video game that's going to be coming out this fall. And I think it has a release date announcement in the trailer, October 1st. So, geez, 3 weeks away. 3 weeks away, folks. You get to see this. It is an MGM product. It is coming to on-demand platforms. It doesn't say which one. It doesn't say streaming platforms, so I assume it's video on demand. It's probably Amazon and others. But I'm guessing where it's video on demand, it's a pay for. But it looks really cool. If you're a fan of this stuff, check it out. If you're a fan of those actors and their voice work, they're really funny. Our next trailer, sticking to the youths, as they say. This is a clip from the trailer for Star Trek Prodigy. The animated series that is it turns out it was originally geared for Nickelodeon. It will wind up on Nickelodeon, but apparently it's going to start on Paramount Plus, and it will run there first, starting October 28th. If you haven't heard about this, so basically the idea is a bunch of non-humans stumble across an abandoned experimental starship called the Protostar. And once they get on it, they find out that this experimental ship had, as an experimental part of it, a command training hologram, sort of like the medical hologram on Star Trek Voyager. And that command training hologram is the captain of Voyager, Captain Janeway, voiced by Kate Mulgrew. The trailer looks really exciting. Visually, it's absolutely stunning. It really captures that sort of let's travel to really strange other places in the galaxy feel of the original series, with a lot of teenage humor, not silly teenage humor, but what seems to be pretty funny stuff. So definitely check it out. October 28th, you can see it. I think it looks a lot of fun. And there's going to be a couple of these because the Star Trek Day, Viacom CBS put out all sorts of announcements about Star Trek stuff, including this next one. So this was a teaser, not a trailer. It was an interesting little featurette about the upcoming series Star Trek Strange New Worlds, which tells the story of the Enterprise under Captain Christopher Pike. So these people you see in the screen here are people that we've already known are going to be in the series because they were in Discovery as their own characters. And so we have Anson Mount there in the gold shirt as Christopher Pike. We have Ethan Peck, who played Spock in Discovery, and will be Spock in the new series. And we have Rebecca Romaine as number one. In the original Star Trek series, that was played by Majel Barrett. Majel Barrett's character in the Ultimate series with Captain Kirk was Nurse Christine Chapel. And the news, the big news here is that there will be returning characters from the original series that we haven't heard about yet. Nurse Chapel will be one of them, which is played by Jess Bush. The doctor of the ship is going to be Dr. Mbenga, which is wonderful. I love that. And played by, I'm going to butcher this guy's last name, and I'm really sorry, Babs Olusanmokun, or something like that. All of the syllables are correct. Whether or not I said them properly, who knows? But the big news is that there will be, well, I'm not sure he's a lieutenant at that point. Anyway, Nyota Uhura will be in this show, played by Celia Rose Gooding. I tried to find a high-res image of that particular screenshot when you get to see her at her communication station, and I just couldn't find one that was high-res enough. So I went with this because it's really super sharp. But I was looking forward to this when they announced it. I loved Anson Mount's take on Christopher Pike. Rebecca Romaine's take on number 1 is fantastic. And Ethan Peck was fine as Spock. Nobody's going to replace Leonard Nimoy or even Zachary Quinto. He's good. But I'm really looking forward to seeing it with these new characters announced. And do they actually say when we get to see this? Yeah, I don't think it's coming up right away. I don't want to go through the whole trailer again, though. Pardon me for not actually getting that for you. So our next piece, continuing with the Star Trek-y stuff, the second trailer for Picard Season 2 dropped. And as we talked about either last week or 2 weeks ago, one of the characters in Picard Season 2 is going to be the Borg Queen. And we talked that, what's her name? Annie Wershing is going to be playing the Borg Queen. We finally get to see that in this trailer. We get to see her as the Borg Queen. Even better, we get to see Seven of Nine's, Jerry Ryan's character, Seven of Nine's reaction to apparently seeing that the Borg Queen is still out there. And it is not a happy look. The story is interesting, and apparently they have to go back in time to fix a problem that happened with time travel when I guess they might have gone back in time before, or something happened. And their Earth is under a fascist dictatorship, which seems to be led by Picard. So they have to go back and change that. I like time travel stories. Go back and change things so you don't become fascists. The Rick and Morty episode of, where almost every alternate reality he travels to ultimately is a fascist one, might have made this kind of pointless. But, well, the devil's in the details or the execution, and we'll have to see exactly how this plays out. But even so, I'm still, so looking forward to this. I love, I enjoyed season 1. There were some serious problems I had with some of the episodes, but overall, as a story, I really liked season 1 of Picard. So, looking forward to season 2. All right, we're out of the Star Trek stuff. The trailer for the upcoming movie Injustice, the DC story based on the comic that was based on the NetherRealm's game Injustice, Injustice Gods Among Us, particularly, dropped. And it, it looks, if you know the story, it doesn't tell you anything new. You get to see what the animation looks like, which is, this kind of, heavy-lined, cell animation, almost cell animation. It gives you a sense of what the story is. If you don't know the story, it's out there. I don't know that I want to give away too much, but, let's say bad things happen around Superman and he doesn't take it well. I think this would have worked better it'll be interesting to see how this works as a movie. I think it would have worked better as just a comic and not the backing story for a game. Although I see why they did it. Injustice Gods Among Us is a fighting game, and you have to have an excuse of why Superman might fight Batman or Wonder Woman, if that's the matchup that you go with. And putting everybody sort of at each other's throats because of the storyline gives you that excuse. It's also an amazingly dark story. So, we'll see. I'm going to watch it. Unlike other people in our group here, Ashley in particular, who said really likes the game, really hates the backing story to it. I don't mind stories that take a darker look at a particular thing that we're already used to. It works better as an Elseworld story, or if this is Marvel as a what if. But I'll give it the benefit of the doubt and see how it plays out. Excellent voice cast. You're Justin Hartley as Superman, Anson Mount once again, this time as Batman. Really solid voice cast. Gillian Jacobs as Harley Quinn, Laura Bailey as both Lois Lane and someone Rama Kushna. So check it out. This drops to disc release and video on demand on October 19th. So a little more than a month from now. Our next to the last topic, and boy, if it wasn't for our final topic, this would be so much my number one super jazzed excited trailer of the last week, and that is Hawkeye. The Disney Plus Marvel MCU series Hawkeye. We finally got a full trailer, and even though they've said it all along that this is based on the amazing Matt Fraction written, David Aja drawn Hawkeye standalone comic series, it's hard to say exactly how well they capture that until you actually see it in execution, and boy, do they nail it. I am absolutely dying to see the Tracksuit Mafia in anything other than just a couple of quick scenes. Like really quick flashes that you see them in here. There are scenes, you get a bit of a scene with both Hawkeyes, I guess I should say. So Clint and Kate Bishop in a muscle car fighting against the Tracksuit Mafia that are coming after them. And it is almost word for word, certainly beat for beat, an exact recreation of that same scene in the comic that it ran in. And Pizza Dog's in this. So beat up Hawkeye, with like ice packs all over him. This is the Matt Fraction story, and I can't wait. But they tie it into the MCU because apparently the reason that Hawkeye sort of gets involved, he is wearing the Ronin outfit that he's trying to distance himself from, where, as you might recall from Avengers Endgame, he was Ronin, where he went around and basically killed Yakuza. That has kind of come back to haunt him, but it also explores, this series is going to explore other people who have worn the Ronin costume, and particularly the original one, the character who now goes by the name Echo. Echo is a native and is deaf. It looks like there's a couple of scenes in here where you see very clearly that Clint is wearing something in his ear that may be a communications device, who knows, but it looks like this could also explore the fact where Clint is going deaf himself, which is part of that Matt Fraction run. I can't wait. I loved every MCU Disney Plus series so far, to varying degrees. Loved all of them, absolutely adored some of them. I am just gonna love the heck out of this. There's no question. Haley Steinfeld as Kate Bishop looks absolutely perfect, captures the sass, the toughness, can play the rich girl daughter, which is what Kate Bishop is. Yeah, cannot wait for this to happen. It is going to happen. November 24th, and all of the story is set around Christmas, and all of the marketing is Christmas. And whoever came up with this line needs whatever the marketing award is that's out there. I can't remember the name of it. The poster shows the two of them and Pizza Dog walking through the snowy streets of New York. They're very small in the very tall canyons of buildings. But in the middle of it, the text is, "This holiday season, the best gifts come with a bow." Someone gets an award for that. Give it to him right now. The last trailer. God, it's 8:46. Can you imagine if there was like 3 of us on? God, we'd be here for another half an hour. Is The Matrix Resurrections. What was Matrix 4? It has a title, The Matrix Resurrections. It has a trailer. It is goosebump-inducingly awesome. You get a sense of the story, although you don't really know how the story could happen, because obviously Neo is back. Obviously Trinity is back. Possibly Morpheus is back, but if so, it is not. Wow. Just absolutely lost Lawrence Fishburne. The name of Lawrence Fishburne. It's not Lawrence Fishburne. It is the amazing Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, who was so good in HBO's Watchmen, and so many other things. He's getting rave reviews for Candyman. So somebody with information about what's going on with Neo, a black man who kind of looks a little bit like Morpheus, is in this, and certainly plays a similar role. The thing that really amazes me the most is that this is shot beautifully with zero green or bluish color grading. It's gorgeous. The cinematography is absolutely fantastic. 41 Brother. Flying, yes, I am flying solo tonight. So we had some last minute technical issues with some people who were going to be joining. And then others are in transit for cons and so on. So yeah, tough night. And others dealing with, health, not their own, but, anyway, stuff you don't need to know. So yeah, everybody's busy except me. I absolutely adore the look of this. The cinematography is fantastic. The story looks like it's going to be really intricate and obviously exploring the implications of what might happen after all of this. Clearly, Neo or Thomas Anderson or whoever and Trinity are older. So are they in a real world? It looks like they're in the Matrix, because there's no way that the real world could possibly look like what they're in, which is a beautiful, gorgeous cityscape, and so on. The action clearly takes everything that has happened in stunt work and CG work to go with stunt work since the original movies were made, and uses it beautifully. And it's got to answer some things like, why is Trinity there? I think it pretty much confirms the idea that everybody associated with Neo's repeating story has to be a creation of the Matrix, of the architect. like Neo is. They just don't know it to the extent that Neo knows it, although there are implications in this trailer that Trinity is getting really close to being able to tap into that awareness of the fact that she is part of the Matrix. And if they are all like Neo, if they are all created beings as part of this, Zion cycle that has repeated, was 5 times, they probably have the potential to do what Neo does. So it's really fascinating that they're going to explore this aspect of, a follow-on of the story. I can't wait for it. I have to wait for it. I have to wait until December 20-something, right? Come on. Now my eyes are starting to glaze over. December 22nd. In theaters, but also same-day release on HBO Max. So when Dune was originally scheduled to be released in theaters in December, I really, it's like, come on, we can do it. We can get through this by December. Now that doesn't look like it's going to be the case with Dune being released in October. December 22nd, come on, folks. We can get over this so I can go to the theater and watch a movie that really needs to be watched in the theater as opposed to on HBO Max. So, come on, folks. Get those vaccinations. Let's do it. And that's it. So that wraps up our show. That is the show for the night. Before I close out, as always, just throw out the patreon.com/nerdcaliber promotion. If you get a chance and you want to, please visit our page on Patreon, patreon.com/nerdcaliber. We just have a couple of tiers. They're both really low dollar. The idea is that you're there to help support us going to cons and getting more good content like we've done finally at MegaCon, at Fan Expo Boston, at Kineticon. We'll be doing at Granite State Comic Con this weekend. Come on, folks. Yay, cons are coming back. And cons are getting smarter. Katsucon just announced that even though it's not happening until February, as always, it will have a mandatory mask and mandatory proof of vaccination or proof of testing within 72 hours of the start of the con. Good for you, Katsucon. Stick with it. So that's it for the show, folks. Thank you very much. Thank you for the people in the chat, 41 Brother, Luminous, and we will see you at an upcoming show. This Thursday's Full Fat Spoiler Chat is going to be G.I. Joe Origins Snake Eyes. We're finally getting around to that, which is why yesterday's show was about our top ninjas. So check that out if you haven't seen that show. Byron and I gush over ninja characters and real people, actually. And next Monday, our Monday show will be Anime Octane, and we're going to be doing the series Eden Zero, which is on Netflix, and is done by the guy who created Fairy Tail. So it has a real Fairy Tail vibe, but so far, I'm liking it a lot more than I did Fairy Tail. And I know for a lot of our anime fans, I just said something horrible, but yeah, come on. Natsu doesn't learn a damn thing at all after, well, I think I stopped at 45 episodes. Anyway, we will see you at an upcoming show. We'll see you at a con. Otherwise, stay safe, folks. Please do stay safe, wear your masks, etc. And good night. Bye-bye.